Good morning, rock and metal fans. Welcome to Iridium Rock and Metal Review. So today we're going to carry on with ranking the songs, or looking at the best songs from the years. We're up to 1986, so fuck, this was hard. So this is the most songs I've had so far in a year, where there's a multitude of songs I could have chosen, like literally albums full of good songs. And the amount as well, I literally had about 40 or 50 songs, and I could only whittle it down because I wanted to include everything on here to 20. So I'm going to try and get through the list as quick as I can. But what a brilliant year for rock and metal. Absolutely superb. So you know how this works. Go from 20 to 1. I'd say a little bit about the song, so I'm not going to go on too much, hopefully. But I wanted to include all these, and there's a great selection again. So, number 20, Metal Church and Watch the Children Pray. So, this is off the Dark album. This is literally the only album I own from Metal Church. I really got into it at the time, but I haven't listened to any other Metal Church stuff. So that's a bit weird. I mean, if anyone wants to give any suggestions of Metal Church songs that I might like, I like Watch the Children Pray, so that's probably the most melodic, sort of slowest song on the album. But I really like that album. It was a big album at the time. I remember it. It's really good. Remember seeing the album cover with the eyes in the dark. It's really cool. So that was my number 20. My number 19, Boston, Cool the Engines, from the Third Stage album. So this got a bit of flack when it came out, this album. I don't think it was on a par with the first two albums. It definitely wasn't, but I thought it was absolutely great. Brad Delp still on the vocals, one of my favourite singers. And I was hard to choose some of these songs off here. Cool the Engines was a great song. I Think I Like It, I loved as well. Some real melodic stuff here, and it was pretty classic Boston. I'm not sure why it received so much stick when it came out, but I thought it was great. I really got into that. So that's my number 19. My number 18, Cinderella and Somebody Save Me from Night Songs. So yeah, this was great. Obviously, Tom Kiefer, he was a very sadly, very AC/DC vocalist, very a bit like Brian Johnson, I suppose, a bit rougher than Brian Johnson. But I remember, I think John Bon Jovi, didn't he have something to do with this band? He gave him the chance to get a record deal or something. But Somebody Save Me, I think that's got a great riff. I love it, and that's why I chose this song. There was a few songs I could have chose, obviously. There's a good slow song on this album as well, but I chose this. It's a lovely, medium pace song with a great riff. Really good one, that one. Number 17, Rat, Looking for Love. I don't know why this wasn't a single. This was a great song off Dancing Undercover. And yeah, again, this is a bit of a dip in form for Rat, definitely. But Invasion of Your Privacy was one of my favourite albums ever. So it was going to be hard for them to follow up for me. But Dancing Undercover was still quite strong. But I think they'd starting to sound a bit, samey with these middle sort of pace songs. I don't know. It was a bit of a, for me, I went on with this album. I didn't listen to it nowhere near as much as the two albums before. But Looking for Love is a great catchy song. Really not easy to listen to, and I don't know why. It's a bit of an underrated classic, that, for me. Right, number 16. Sorry, got a blooming big list here, but right, Iron Maiden, Wasted Years. So From Somewhere in Time. So I was looking through this album, and this again, for me, Maiden dropped off a bit. Power Slave is my favourite Maiden album, and I think that was the height of their career for me. Those three albums in a row, Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind and Power Slave, were just absolute classics of all time. And I think this was, for me, it was a bit of a dip in form. I know this is a lot of people's favourite albums from them, Somewhere in Time. I sort of get that. But I wouldn't usually choose a single either. but Wasted Years, I chose that because of that brilliant little guitar part that sort of plays obviously a couple of times through the song. I think it's really clever. A few bands have tried to emulate that a couple of times. I've heard a few songs similar, but they were the pioneers of that. So brilliant maiden track that. Number 15. Sorry, just looking through my list here. Right, Ozzy Osbourne, Shot in the Dark. So another single. This is off The Ultimate Sin. I've said before that this is my favourite era of Ozzy with Jake E. Lee in the band. I'm actually going to do a Red Dragon Cartel reaction soon because I haven't heard any of their music. But he was my favourite guitarist, and I know it's a bit, like I said, it's a bit controversial because a lot of people was Randy Rhoads. But I love this song. I think it's Ozzy at his best. I'm not everyone I know, I'm not the biggest Ozzy fan. I do like a lot of his songs, but I'm not, mad about him. But I think this is great. And them two albums are my favourites, Bark at the Moon and The Ultimate Sin. So, but this single is brilliant. I nearly chose the actual title track of The Ultimate Sin, but I went with Shot in the Dark because it just brings back a lot of memories. Number 14, bit of a lesser well-known one, I suppose. Black and Blue and Nasty Nasty, the title track from the album. So yeah, this was a great album that I really got into when I was younger. I still listen to it now. I think a lot of people would say their album before was, I think it's called Without Love, was a bit better, but no, Nasty Nasty really got it. I think it got it spot on. It was quite heavy and really catchy at the same time. It had something to do with Gene Simmons at a Kiss. He had something to do with the band. I think he might have produced the album actually, and he wrote a couple of songs on this as well. But Nasty Nasty is a great track. Starts off with a very similar sort of AC/DC riff, but great vocals through this album as well. Absolutely brilliant album from front to back. Nasty Nasty is a classic track though, real rocking track. Number 13, Black Sabbath, In for the Kill off Seventh Star. Well, actually this is Black Sabbath featuring Tony Iommi. That's what it had on the front of the album, because people were saying it was more like a solo album from Tony Iommi, but it's in the Black Sabbath catalogue. So Glenn Hughes on vocals, and he only appeared for one album. There was a lot of problems with Glenn Hughes, but he done some great vocals on here. I think it fitted straight in, and it's one of my favourite Sabbath albums. It really is. I mean, I am a fan of obviously Dio with Sabbath. I like Tony Martin as well, but he really done a good album here, and it was a shame that it all fell through, because I think that he would have done some great things with Sabbath. Obviously there weren't all these problems going on, but In for the Kill, what a heavy, great track to start with off an album. One of the best opening tracks you could ask for. There was a lot of tracks on here again. I was like, oh my God, what I put? Danger Zone was a good one. Angry Heart, I'm trying to remember the songs, was an excellent song, but I went for In for the Kill. Brilliant song. Number 12, Crimson Glory, Azrael off their self-titled debut album. I love Crimson Glory, and I know that they've got a lot of elements of Queensryche, and they were, compared to them a lot, and I can understand that. They really do sound like Queensryche, but there's a lot of bands that do sound like Queensryche or try to emulate that sound. But I think Crimson Glory was probably the best band that weren't Queensryche, if you like. Their singer Midnight, I think he's passed away now. I'm not sure how or when, but he was a great vocalist. Hit some heights you wouldn't believe. Just like Jeff Tate, very, very good singer. Just a shame, what happened with the band as well. They only had 3 or 4 albums out, I believe. Their first 2 from me were the best. The next one, Transcendence, was even better than this one. But what a great debut. My number 11, another not so well-known one, a band called Xeno and Don't Tell the Wind from their self-titled debut album. So this got a lot of stick when it was first issued this, when this first got released, this album, it got so much stick. I remember it, and I got it anyway, and I absolutely loved it. Could never understand the stick it got, and also later on down the line, like many albums do, it's now perceived to be a classic AOR melodic rock album, and it really is. Honestly, check this out. It's one of them bands that might have passed you by because, you know, lesser well known. Obviously, Zeno is the guitarist is Zeno Roth, who's the brother of Uli John Roth, if you like, who used to play with the Scorpions, Michael Schenker Group, and he plays some brilliant, just really some really great riffs, unusual for the time as well. Really clever guitar work, clever hooks, just like his brother. I believe Zeno is passed away now as well. Great guitarist though, and this album is full of really strong melodies. Please give it a go. If you've missed this one and you're into the melodic rock AOR stuff, you won't regret it. My number 10, Stryper and Free off the To Hell With The Devil album. So I was like really struggling to find a track to put off of this album. There's loads, there's absolutely loads. I nearly put To Hell With The Devil, the title track, but I went with Free. I think it's really catchy. It's like it's more sort of like, it's not, there's some slow songs here that are quite cool on the album as well. Calling On You, for instance, is a bit, I don't know, it's really like, you know, sweet. It's just really, maybe a little bit too cheesy in some people's mind, but not for me. I love it. But Free is really catchy, but, you know, middle of the road heavy as well. Just a perfect song by Stryper, and everyone knows I love Stryper, not for their lyrical content or their message, but I just think, you know, you can't ignore a band with this much talent, and they've got a new album coming out, which I can't actually wait for. I think they're a brilliant band. My number 9, David Lee Roth, Yankee Rose off Eat 'Em and Smile. So this, when Van Halen parted, obviously David Lee Roth done that little EP thing that I don't care much for, and then he did this album, Eat 'Em and Smile. And this was like so many artists do, when they have a split from a band and they go solo, this was like a big to Van Halen. It was like, look what I can do. Do you know what I mean? And it was, I love this album. I think it was, you know, up there with the best stuff that Van Halen done. Easy, absolutely easy. And Yankee Rose, I think it just summed up the whole album. I mean, I wasn't sure which one to put on here, but I nearly put Bump and Grind on. But Yankee Rose, I think, you know, just another one, brings back memories. Excellent video with Roth, you know what I mean, the real fun video as well to go along with it. Excellent song. My number 8, Kill, Tears of Fire off the Final Frontier album. So yeah, this was they were one of my most listened to bands probably when I was younger. This is my favourite Kill album. The next album was a real dip in form for me. I think it was self-titled, I'm not sure. And The Right to Rock, which was before this, wasn't, you know, I only liked a few tracks off this, but this is a absolutely outstanding album. I remember the production on this was really spoken about, especially the drum sound. It was huge, absolutely huge at the time. I mean, you listen to it now, the production's actually a little bit dated, you know, but at the time it was an amazing production and huge sound. I really like Kill. I think they're a great band. That was my number 8. Number 7, FM, That Girl off the Indiscreet album. Yeah, I love FM now. You know, I missed out on a lot of FM songs or albums after this. I like Tough It Out, and then I didn't listen to a lot of stuff from them all the way through, actually until recently, and I started catching up on a lot of FM songs, and they're great, and they don't disappoint now either. They brought an album out about a month ago which was absolutely fantastic. and they're one of the most consistent bands I know, and That Girl was the single. It was the first song. What a great introduction to a great band. That was my number 7. My number 6. God, I've blooming got a list of so many here. So yeah, this is just a single. So this was Hearing Aid and Stars. So I'm sure most of you guys know about this song anyway. So Vivian Campbell out of Dio, it was his idea to do this, and it was Aid for Africa. I think there was the pop version, if you like, out at the same time, but this was like the metal version, and wow, what a song, what a song. It had a real Dio sound to it, obviously, written by Vivian Campbell. It just showcased everything, and all the amazing technical ability, guitar wise, well, all the way through, guitar, drums, bass, obviously, but it's the singers on this as well. They just plucked the best singers in metal, and they all did a bit. This is one of my favourite songs ever, you know what I mean? What an amazing song. I remember I got the video which showed the extended version of Stars, which had a guitar solo. It showed all the guitarists that played on it. You know, the guitar solo went on for about 5, 6, 7 minutes. It was absolutely brilliant. Love it. Number 5, Vinnie Vincent's Invasion, Back on the Streets, from their self-titled album, debut album. Yeah, so Vinnie Vincent left Kiss, and a little bit like Dave Lee Roth and Van Halen, this was his finger up to them, saying, look at, you know, look what I can do, and produced probably one of the best debut albums ever, full of mad songs, really, especially guitar wise. He just turned the guitar up to like 20 and just went mental on this. I mean, a lot of it was about speed on this, but you know, the songs themselves were absolutely amazing. Everyone will know that I'm not really into a speed on a guitar, although it's amazing to know that someone can play a guitar fast. A lot of it's about melody, but the songs were full of melody, even if the guitar solos were absolutely mental. But I think he was just saying, you know, this is a guitar album as well. But he toned the guitar down for the next album. But on this, when the guitar solos kicked in, it's like he had a blimmin' pedal that turned up to blimmin' 50 or something. Pretty funny though, but amazing debut album. Number 4, Metallica, Disposable Heroes, off the Master of Puppets album. So you get, this was a difficult one for me. I could have chose a lot of songs off here. I was thinking about Welcome Home Sanitarium. I was thinking about Master of Puppets. I've actually gone for one that I think back when I forgot the album, right back in 1986, I think this was one of my lesser liked tracks for some reason. I don't know why. It was, I listened, it was more Master of Puppets. It was more, you know, Orion, and you know, all those sort of songs. And Leper Messiah was one. But now, I think Disposable Heroes is my favourite one. It could have been so many songs off of here, but it's got so many different changes. It's got really fast bits as well. So heavy that the riffs in this, the chugging riffs, absolutely love it. That's my number 4. Number 3, Tesla and Changes, off of Mechanical Resonance. So this band is going to appear all the way, as soon as they bring an album out, they're probably going to appear on my list of favourite songs. One of my favourite bands of all time, American band. Tesla are so underrated, it's unbelievable. This was, again, one of the best debuts that have ever been brought out. They brought something different to the scene in the middle of all the glam. You know, just looked like 5 ordinary blokes with their jeans and t-shirts on. Do you know what I mean? And they really rocked out, showed a lot of class. Amazing band. This is an amazing song as well. I chose this one out of all those because I think this has stuck with me the most through all the years. And it's got everything that you want in it. A little bit of piano in there, moving into a brilliant bit of synth, you know, just before the guitar comes in, and the heaviness of the chorus. It's an epic song, absolutely epic. My number 2, it's really interesting now. So White Sister, Save Me Tonight, off the Fashioned by Passion album. So this is my favourite ballad of all time. Of all time. Without a doubt, my favourite slow song. These are a great underrated band, and this is why I wanted to push them right near the top of the list. Vocalist is amazing. This song was actually off the Fright Night soundtrack, horror film in the 80s, and they were used for quite a few films, I believe, their songs. But this song, honestly, if you haven't heard it, listen to it now. It's an epic AOR melodic rock song that is the best ballad of all time, in my opinion. My number one, you're probably thinking, well, I haven't appeared on here yet, and I'm a big fan. So it's Queensryche, A New Regale from Rage for Order. Yeah, so this is my favourite Queensryche album from one of my favourite bands. So ahead of its time, this album. And I think it just hooked me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing when I heard this album. Almost sounded so technical, it's futuristic. It's like, how can a band play like that? It was really progressive, but at the same time catchy. You know, anyone who's been listening to the channel, I'm not really into progressive rock and metal where it's unlistenable and it changes too much. But the Queensryche, they had the perfect balance, didn't they, of technical ability, but melodic catchiness. And Geoff Tate's obviously one of the best singers ever. Chris DeGarmo, obviously not in Queensryche now, but him and Michael Wilton, what absolute brilliant guitarist. Scott Rockenfield, also not in Queensryche at the moment, but what a drummer. I just absolutely love Queensryche. Obviously their favourite albums for me is this one, Operation Mindcrime, Empire, and also the new stuff. The last two albums they brought out are fantastic. So that's my list of 1986. I hope you stuck with it and watched the whole video. I know it's a bit longer, but sometimes you just can't leave stuff off, you know. If there's anything you think I might have missed, please tell me. Let me know what you think might be on 1987 as well. I'll probably do that tomorrow or the day after. Really enjoyed this video. It's been great. So please subscribe, bottom right hand button. Thank you very much.